Hello everybody. Hope everyone is doing okay. It's difficult knowing what to say when we're all trying to make sense of this tragedy, the how, the why. Also trying to know how to balance between empathy for the victims and their families while wanting to call out Watchtower for their shunning and other policies that cause mental anguish, suicides, death because of the no blood policy, shunning. You know, we all know this. We've all gone through this. Many of us have had similar anguish and anxiety and anger ourselves. We can also understand how the Watchtower, elders, and shunning can push someone over the edge. But shame on you, Watchtower, for using this tragedy to make yourselves the victims and demonize the XJW community, inciting hate against all of us. Watchtower's Public Information Department is going into overtime trying to spin this in their favor. If you don't believe me, look at this tweet a JW put out from the Mellow Fellow. The active shooter who killed some of our brothers and sisters in Germany was an XJW. The apostate community has now resorted to physical violence in their hatred against Jehovah's Witnesses. The XJW community is a dangerous militant unit bent on a hate campaign. And I totally deny this accusation. Totally deny that, because many of us are just trying to warn the world from getting involved in this, knowing that they have done so much damage in destroying families. But Watchtower is putting not only their own members in danger now, but the XJWs as well. Because what if this guy goes off the deep end and decides now to come over to the XJW community and do the same thing? Do you see? Now somebody sent me this photo, and I don't know if it's staged or if they were just there talking to her. I don't know the context and the circumstances, but it made me think, is this how the JWs are going to have to start doing their preaching now? Because look at what just happened in Rockford, Illinois last month, where that JW was shot and killed while sitting in his car out in service. I'll tell you what, if I seen this car, I wouldn't approach the car under these circumstances. Now I also want to read an email I got from an XJW this morning, and they have been trying to get the media to pay attention to the things they have been talking about, mostly the court cases on CSA. And she says, but got nowhere in getting them to expand on their reporting. Now with the Hamburg, Germany situation, I contacted our local news channel, WGN, again, and offered to speak with someone relative to the practices of the organization and the fact that it is a cult. I spoke with someone who seemed to care about what I was saying, and he said he would pass my information along to the producers. I even told him that my husband committed suicide because of the organization, and that the sister of a friend of mine died because she was not allowed to have a life-saving blood transfusion. So, if many of us in the XJW community want to try to counteract this, this is how we do it, you know, with calm reason, logic, and we've got history and case histories on our side. And I know it's very difficult, but we need to try not to be emotional, and I get it. I am very angry myself, very angry, sickened, saddened, this tragedy, and angry at Watchtower for trying to spin this in their favor. And I want to mention, I haven't heard back from him. I was going to ask him if I could translate his video into English, but I'm going to put the link down below and the name of the channel. His name is Jason, and I want to thank you, Jason, for contacting me and letting me know. His channel is Trauma World, Jay at Trauma World. And like I said, I'll put the link down below. Now, he has direct contact with some of the relatives of the perpetrator. And if you don't know how to do it, you click on the bottom of his video, right at the bottom where you have like the timeline and the pause button and all of that. There is a little CC with a TV screen. You can click on that, and then that turns the closed captions on, and then there's a little like clock gear to the right of that. You can click on that and it will say subtitles. You click on the subtitles and you can change it into any language you need to. And he has some more information, and since I haven't heard back from him, I just took some notes that I'm gonna highlight of what he mentions with some more details. Now we know, and the neighbor took video of when this was going on. We do know that. And he mentions he's in direct contact with some of the relatives. His wife grew up in the area and knew the shooter. He was an ex-JW. And I don't like the way they keep saying disgruntled and all of that, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But he says that he forced himself in. He was shooting at a sister in the parking lot before he even went into the building, and the neighbor took the video. There are 4 men dead, 2 women dead, and an unborn child, which is the biggest tragedy out of all of this. And there may be more that succumb to their injuries, because there are, I believe he said, 8 in the hospital. Now we also know that there were approximately 25 to 27 at the meeting, and that there was several more, probably a couple of dozen on the Zoom meeting. And he also says that Philip, the perpetrator, was not baptized until he was 30, but he was raised a JW. But he left the congregation after a few years, and then he tried to raise awareness about the JWs, and he had written a book, and it's available on Amazon. And Jason mentions, with this act, he has definitely set an example of what is happening mentally at Jehovah's Witnesses. Exactly. We know that, there's a lot of mental illness, not only in Jehovah's Witnesses, but then it kind of leaks over into the XJW community. And it's sad because so many of us have lost everything, shunned, kicked out of our homes, fired from our jobs with JWs. Many have lost everything. So we can totally understand this. I'm not condoning it. But I want to mention a tweet on Twitter, and I'm going to put the link to this. This was JB. And it says, the XJW community does not condone violence. We do not wish ill nor pray harm. We are not disgruntled, disillusioned, poisoned, and I might add embittered, because I know of so-called YouTuber who has called many of us embittered. We're just disowned. We know how catastrophic the mind can get when judged in that way. Once you shun, the person you knew will never be like that again. Exactly. Do you think if my mom suddenly contacts me, I know she won't, because her pride won't allow her to admit she was wrong in shunning our family. But if she did and contact us, do you think our relationship will ever be the same again? No, it can't. It can't. Watchtower, this is the damage they have done to families and people. So, like I said, it's difficult to find the balance, and our hearts and thoughts goes out to all the victims and the families. It is so sad, and such a horrible tragedy. We don't want to wish ill on anybody. We wouldn't want to wish this on anyone. And like I said, shame on Watchtower for trying to use this to their advantage. Now, before I go, I do want to mention something. And I want to thank Elle very much for sending me this screenshot. During their Zoom meeting, I believe it was right after the meeting, this window pops up. Donate one-time funds to branch. Really? This donation window pops up during your meeting to Jehovah? How is this any different than passing the collection plate at a church? Watchtower has criticized churches for doing that. Oh, but we never ask for funds. Really? What do you call this? Like I said, a lot of anger. A lot of anger. We can all understand it. We all have this anger. And it's just sad now that Watchtower is going to be inciting Jehovah's Witnesses with their hate speech, that this is the work of the XJWs and that they're all evil like this person. No, we're not. Some of us actually love and care about our JW family and friends and the JWs in general. We just want them to realize what they're involved with. If they want to believe, Watchtower, fine. But just know and be honest about what you are involved in. And I also want to mention that it was interesting how JW.org got this announcement right up on their website under the newsroom, under JW News. But yet, the JW that was shot and killed while out in field service, sitting in his car, no mention of them at all. So it's convenient how Watchtower picks and chooses their propaganda. I do know one thing. Several PIMOs have contacted us and told us there is no way they are going back to the Kingdom Hall, and those that were going to the Kingdom Hall, they're scared. And I don't blame them one bit. We all have friends and family that are going back to the Kingdom Hall, and we are concerned for them. I hope this doesn't happen anymore, but unfortunately, watching patterns of behavior for a very, very long time, it's inevitable. It's inevitable, and it's bound to happen again. In fact, a friend of mine just sent me a link yesterday, thank you, Sharon, and asked if I had seen this one. And it's Evanston Police, and there was a shooting between Jehovah's Witnesses out in the parking lot. So my comment to the JW that said the XJWs have become a militant group and capable of violence, Jehovah's Witnesses are doing more of the violence against each other than the XJW community. So I'll put the link down below to this. And I want to thank all of you so much. So many of you have been sending us links of all these news and information, and we appreciate it. And I'm sorry if I didn't answer your email personally, but I had over 100 emails come in the past 2 days, and so I'm just trying to, get through them as quickly as possible. And I will put the links down below to the things I have mentioned. And you all have a wonderful weekend, and just know we love you all. Bye.